Okay, so for the rest of the afternoon, we'd like to talk about the working groups. So we'll close out the day with the working groups, but first we'll start with governance and how Purple works. So we've mapped out basically how the governance works here. At the top, there's the board of directors, and you can see there's a good representation from operators, OEMs, and SoC companies all together. And below the board of directors are three committees: the product steering committee, the technical steering committee, and the marketing committee. And I'll note also that off to the left we show an operators group. So this is an ad hoc group of Purple operators, and they provide advice at all levels: advice to the board, advice to the product steering committee, and so on. So those same operators in the operators work group, they are infused in all the working groups and have a tremendous influence. So at Purple, we like to be driven by the operator community, and this is one way that we do that. So you can see that the product steering committee receives input from the operators group, and the product steering committee produces business requirements and priorities, which are delivered through the board to the technical steering group, where they're set for execution, for development by the various technical working groups. The marketing committee is chaired by Arnaud, who you met this morning. And again, good representation on the marketing committee. They helped put together this whole event, which has been quite nice. So I think what we'll do, why don't we talk about the technical steering committee first. So we receive the business requirements and the priorities, and I've listed some of the tasks there that the technical working group does. They charter the working groups to make sure that the work gets done, map out the roadmap, the architecture, establish working group procedures, advise the board, advise the product steering committee, charter TWGs when we have a new project to start. Purple, for the most part, works on consensus. All of us in Purple are like-minded. And so it's most often we come to a consensus in the working groups, and there's no need for voting and this kind of thing, hardly ever. But so we work on consensus in the working groups. If lack of consensus there, then it gets bumped up to the technical steering committee, and if there's lack of consensus there, then it gets bumped up to the board of directors for a final decision. And also, most important, we do coordination with outside organizations such as Broadband Forum, the WBA, who we heard from this morning, and the Wi-Fi Alliance whenever needed. And this is a very important part of the work we do in the working groups, because what we're trying to do is tighten the loop between standards development and implementation. Traditionally, that's taken years, right? The standard would take years, then it would take years to implement, and then it might take another year to receive feedback from the implementations to revise the standard. And that's a very slow and inefficient way that we need to move more quickly these days. And so we're trying to collaborate very closely with these organizations to tighten the loop. So I've listed the 7 technical working groups there in the diagram. In the middle, the purple boxes are traditional open source efforts, Purple Mesh, Purple OS, and those two pieces of software, they're sandwiched between two open APIs, the high-level API for applications and the low-level API where the SoC vendor BSP packages plug into. So those are some of the groups, and then the pink groups are the lifecycle management of containerized software components on the left. We have a security assurance working group on the right, and also certification working groups. So those are the 7 technical working groups. We're going to hear from all of them after our talk here. And one thing I wanted to point out here is that There are 7 projects, 7 technical working groups for 7 projects. 6 of those projects are portable. Portable to RDK, portable to Purple OS, portable to any third-party router-based operating system. So those are all portable. Only one of the 7 projects is not portable to RDK. So
it's partially portable.
Partially.
Because still we have some components in Purple OS
Yes.
that are portable to RDKB if somebody wants it.
Right. Good point. Also, the applications themselves could be made portable to RDK because they exercise the high-level API. It's heavily dependent on the TR-181 data model and USP-like procedures. So applications developed by the service providers or by third parties, those could be made portable to RDK as well. So those are the technical working groups. Let's back up a bit and talk about the product steering committee and how they function. So with us is Brandon, and he can explain. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me just take a step back because I'm kind of a fresh face to the community, right? So I'm a CPE architect on Dish Network, and before I got here, I was actually spending 8 years locked in a lab doing testing and engineering on a CPE. But what's great about that is, so, coming over to Dish, they brought me into this Purple community, and getting to meet all of you guys was great. Because the Purple community, we're striving to work together, and that's exactly what the PSC is trying to do here. We're trying to bring everyone together and push the requirements into the different working groups and help steer the proper direction, right? All of those requirements, one of the big things that we've worked on this year is the business requirements for 2023. And it's been a lot of work to kind of get these narrowed down to where they're at, and they definitely had to get broken into some high priority and different priorities just because there were so many of them. But in my mind, I called out a few of them in this. Sorry, I can't see you well. Okay, so the one that I wanted to focus on mostly is the kind of the different platforms, right? The carrier-grade platforms that are going to be introduced into the Purple ecosystem in 2023 there's multiple of them, and I think that just shows where Purple's headed, and it's been great. Wi-Fi, we have the 6E as well as focus on Wi-Fi 7 as well, and then the remaining functions are definitely in much more detail, and we're going to actually be providing the higher detailed stuff to you guys for viewing as well.
Maybe one more detail. I'm frequently asked how we deal with with the differences, how we manage the conflicts because between different interests, etc. But our experience mainly with Randy and David, it's 3 years or even more, and I don't remember any major divergence.
You need a mic.
I don't remember any major divergence. Usually we, even if the consensus is required, we have no major issues to get this consensus. This is how it works. Maybe this is because it's at the early stage. I don't know, but it really works well.
Yeah, it does, Wojtek. The point being, where we are today, and we'll talk about the operator community here in just a moment. But smoothly, we could say, a lot of what we've maybe had to discuss, we've been able to resolve pretty effectively, either through the PSC or through the operator working team. So it's been very efficient in the way we work together.
Yeah, that's what we do at Purple, right? We collaborate, we harmonize, and we come together for a common good.
Right.
So we're all like-minded. Okay, thank you, Brandon. And Randy, you want to?
Oh, looks like we skipped a seat, but that's okay. So Look, you referred to the operator community as an ad hoc group. I'd say we're just a more efficient organization. So what is our objective? I think it's clear that, over the past several years, there's been a significant amount of work that's put into everything that we see in this room. In 2019, when I joined into the Purple ecosystem of work efforts, like Brandon, kind of thrown into the mix and not knowing exactly where things were. I think we may have had 1 or 2 demos during the 2019 event. Look what we got in this room now. So what we have done as an operator community, I'm not going to take all the credit, is we've brought some truly efforts into bringing some very valuable motions towards taking this collaborative conglomeration into this more hierarchical, how we work with each other together to make ourselves more efficient. So methods to the madness. That's really the bottom line is operator community sits together. We have a lot of influence over what needs to be then dealt with from the broader community perspective. And then of course it feeds into product steering committee, technical steering committee, and then down into the working groups as Dave explained. So on the next slide, the idea is to bring us all together as this operator community, and we have grown significantly in the past year to 2 years. The number of us who are representing our business units, some of us technology oriented, some of us marketing, some of us a combination of both. But it's this collection, again, bringing some knowledge to all of us cohesively. To Wojtek's point, how we have consolidated our thoughts and come to consensus. So that's really made a difference moving forward. And the next slide really is, the strategy of what we do. It's how we do it and how we are addressing, at least in the near term, the most recent topics. There's a list there to review. It's a growing list. But if you think about, again, the history of the operator group, we started with the low-level API, what that meant in terms of the operator impacts, what it meant there, bringing it all up to LCM, Purple Mesh, everything in terms of what the operators had considered as critical items that we were going to focus in on. And for the past several months, you see the key items that we've looked at. Part of it's actually how this meeting was put together and what we anticipated from an operator viewpoint, what we believe as an operator community needed to be brought together for all of us to be able to share together in a room. So it's not all about the operators, but the operators truly have driven quite a bit of the influence as to our success today as an organization. And then on the other side of the slide, that's just a typical Confluence website posting. It shows that we maintain our membership and who joins typically. Sometimes it's a smaller group, sometimes it's a larger group of operators. And then, of course, we document everything. So anything we talk about is maintained in Confluence. So we always go through, when we have our weekly meetings, we'll breeze through what our history has been up until that point to make sure that we've addressed our action items, and then we document what our new items are as well. So overall, that's the function of the operator working group. So thank you very much.
Any questions?
Oh, come on. Well, I can make a comment. So after lunch, right, you typically want to have a good cup of coffee. Well, one of our attendees broke the coffee machine, the one that only had Americano that you could actually get coffee out of. So it was a little bit of a struggle. So anyways, that's my closing remark.
Hey, Randy, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you just wanted to stress on the Purple Summit, or you put it all by mistake?
No, that's actually for the past several weeks has been the top item for us to discuss. So this is the most important thing.
Yeah, but
Once again, I believe that especially for the operators that are thinking about whether they should join or not, and how this collaboration between operators looks like, you would be surprised, but it goes really smoothly.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible I believe that the reason for that is that we all discovered during those discussions that basically we have the same issues and the same problems that needs to be resolved, etc. So this is why it's probably why it's so easy to agree on different things.
Yeah, I would agree.
I wanted to make one comment.
Yeah.
I think for those operators that are not involved, I think there's an opportunity to reach out to Randy and come join the operator working group and see how they function.
That's-
A good open opportunity to really see how Purple moves forward, get a taste. As we start growing, we see a number of operators is escalating. They are open arms to new operators.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And also to add to your point is we anticipate some additional operators joining in the near future, so that list will grow. But please, to Mike's offer, please join us during our meetings. Just contact me directly. I have a Purple Foundation email address, randy.zimler@purplefoundation.org. Send me a note. Make sure you get added into the invite for those meetings.
Yeah, even if you're an operator and you're just still thinking about joining Purple, you're welcome to join the operators call and see what
Absolutely.
Purple is all about.
Right. We invite any and all. Thank you. All right.
Okay, I think next up we are going to start discussing all of the technical working groups, and we'd like to start with the Purple Mesh working group, something near and dear to my heart. Thanks, folks. Thank you.